Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Leslie Tucker. I'm the ALNCO at Green Meadow Primary School. And unfortunately can't be with you today because I'm on day 6 of Test Trauma-Informed Schools training. So I'm going to record over the PowerPoint for you so you can still hear about our journey at Green Meadow Primary School through using the whole school approach to emotional and mental health wellbeing tool, and through our journey through staff wellbeing. So first of all, I'd like to share with you a check-in tool that we regularly use. We use this a lot on training days, sometimes on our Friday forum meeting on a Friday morning, a quick 15-minute meeting to do like the business diary and things like that. And we'll quite often have a check-in. We use this a lot over COVID. And sometimes, obviously, we'll use this at the start of our PL sessions. So first of all, have a little go yourselves. If everyone could pop in the chat how they're feeling today. So 1, you're feeling exhausted and finding things hard going. 2, you feel okay, but you could have done with a 2-week break at half term. 3, you're feeling well, but you've got so much to do with so little time. 4, you're making good, feel good and making progress with your to-do lists. And 5, you're feeling great and on top of all your jobs. So just pop in the chat in of how you're feeling. Obviously, I can't see the chat, which is really strange that I'm not with you today. But what's really nice of whoever's presenting is to really get a feel of the ethos of that room and how everyone is feeling. If you've got lots of 1s, you might skip a few slides. Hopefully, we've got lots of 3s to 5s, and I'll be as quick as I can. Thanks to Kate for allowing us to present and asking us to share now for the second time on this leadership programme, our journey on staff wellbeing. So as we said in the aims of the session, we're going to share our journey, improving staff wellbeing. We're going to share good practice and show you how we've identified our needs and what PL and support we needed as a school. So first of all, let me introduce you to the team. There's me on the bottom right. I'm ALNCO, Wellbeing Lead, CLAR Coordinator and Relationships Policy Lead. As you can see, I've got my hands full. Which is why I think it's really important to note in Green Meadow, the wellbeing team is not just one person. We are quite a small school, and where we have got teams, some people are in more than one team. But I really think that wellbeing team really is a team of people that all actively take part. Our head teacher, Mrs. Moses, at the top, and our deputy head teacher, Mrs. Robinson, on the right. They're both really active members of the wellbeing team. Sometimes an email might come through from Kate or from Alison Daly or anyone, anything to do with wellbeing, and basically whoever gets to it first will answer it. It's not a case of it's always got to be me. So we really are a team. In the middle there at the bottom, we've got Mrs. Robb on the left and Miss Adkins on the right, who are our level 4 TAs. They're both wellbeing facilitators. They run our nurture provision, but they very much are an active part of the team and also assist me with my ALNCO role. And on the left, we've got Mr. Westcott. He takes care of kind of the PE side of things for me. That's not my forte. Not too ashamed to admit, you know, that's not my strong point. So when it comes to something like that, I need someone in the team who can really help me. So yeah, that really is our team. I can't stress that enough. It cannot be down to one person. The whole school approach audit tool, you know, when you go through it, you can't just sit there by yourself and complete it. You know, when you're using education support, for example, which we'll talk about later, you know, it's something that the team need to be looking at and moving forward across the school. In terms of education support, it's a resource that we have used, and I'll share their website with you later and talk a bit more about education support in a bit. But what I would like to start with is that education support have offered sessions to our SLT. And I think what SLT really took away from that, our head and deputy really took away from the fact that to have happy, healthy children, you need happy, healthy staff. And as SLT or a member, or lead member of a team, you've got to put your own gas mask on first. If you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to look after others, and you're not going to be able to look after the children. And I think really that's why Mrs. Moses, our head, has pushed forward the importance of a team. It's not all on one person's shoulders. And I think if it is all on one person's shoulders, if that person crumbles, you know, you're taking all that knowledge and expertise away with that person. It needs to be that team. So I think that's really clear across our school. that, you know, happy, healthy staff first equals happy, healthy children. In terms of staff wellbeing, this is a list of some of the things that we do. By no means a finished list. You will notice at the top that a number of the first few items are related to COVID. I think it's clear that obviously COVID was a long time ago. Maybe we quite like to forget about it. But what I think you'll notice is we've left these on just to show that you know, staff wellbeing is not something that we've just recently implemented. It's not a tick box. It's something that's been ongoing for a while. Um, During COVID, we had regular wellbeing check-ins with staff just to check everyone was okay. Staff were checking in with the children, but SLT were checking in with staff and SLT checking in with each other. We had a daily Teams lunchtime meeting set up because everyone was missing that, getting together. We had a back to school wellbeing package for all staff. Birthdays were celebrated via Teams. At Green Meadow, we always celebrate a birthday, you know, saying happy birthday to each other and maybe some cakes on the table, but we really do celebrate big birthdays at Green Meadow. And unfortunately for me, it was one of my big birthdays over COVID. It was my 40th. But I would say Green Meadow still managed to celebrate it. I had a message on my birthday to join the lunchtime meeting room. And as I did that, there was a knock at my front door, and a member of staff, socially distanced, of course, put a load of presents and a cake and some flowers off the staff and some presents off parents actually who dropped them off at school on my doorstep. My husband then provided her with a dining chair from the dining room, and she sat on a dining chair halfway down the street practically and watched me open my presents, which I did on Teams with all the staff watching. And they all sang happy birthday for me when I felt really kind of loved and celebrated, even though it was COVID. Also over COVID, in our regular wellbeing check-ins, we all still had PPA. We had a Monday morning, but I think as everyone will agree that it was difficult to plan and prepare, and actually it was much more trickier in being at home trying to, you know, plan for those lessons and record lessons. So Mrs. Moses increased from half a day to a full day a week. So where we had the Monday morning, we also now had a Friday afternoon. On the Friday afternoon, we were asked to prepare a wellbeing task for pupils that we just set online, that they didn't need to hand in on Google Classroom or anything like that, and that they just completed with their families. And it was communicated to parents that staff would be having the Friday afternoon as more PPA time. So SLT really do listen and act accordingly if they need to, if staff are saying they're struggling with something. Going away from COVID now, we've got a staff WhatsApp group. It's really effective. There's no moaning and groaning. It's just a group where we can ask each other questions. You know, is it dress up day tomorrow? Do we wear this? Do we wear that? It's you know, quite informal, but there are SLT on the group. And it's just a way of keeping in touch. If someone's off poorly, you know, when they're back, we can say, "Oh, glad to have you back." If you happen to not see them in the building that day, to wish people happy birthday. If you haven't seen them, so that WhatsApp group's really effective. We have Staff of the Week, where someone's been nominated. There's our lovely Mr. Edwards, nominated as Staff Member of the Week there, normally nominated for going over and above or something that that Mrs. Moses or a member of staff has noticed. We can nominate staff as well as Mrs. Moses choosing. We can nominate a member of staff if we've seen something around the school. Secret Friends. Secret Friends is an initiative that we brought in where we all had a secret friend, and we would look after that secret friend. We would put little notes on their desk, make them a cup of tea, maybe leave some presents on their desk. And it worked really well for a long time, but we felt once the novelty had worn off, for some people, it, you know, became a chore having to remember their secret friends. I know there were a few people that felt their secret friend wasn't keeping them in mind. We changed secret friend every term, but it felt like for some people, towards the end of term, for some people, it was like, oh, tick, I've bought a present for my secret friend and I've left it on their desk. So it became more of a negative thing than a positive thing. So we talked about it in a staff meeting one day and we decided to scrap it. And we now have something called, well, we called it Not So Secret Friend for a while. It's now basically a buddy scheme where members of staff nominated who they felt would be a good buddy for them, someone they could go to if they were struggling. And we've all got a buddy that we're matched up to that we can go to if we need that extra bit of help. Um, Mrs. Moses recognises our workload. She gives us time for our end of year reports. Don't get me wrong, it's never enough. It's very much appreciated, but I don't think we'd been in work for a good week if we had the whole time for our end of year reports. But it'll very often be up to 2 staff meetings or a whole afternoon. She recognises if you've got a bigger class that you might need that extra time. So it's just really nice to have that time allocated by SLT. On an inset day, um, as a school, SLT always provide a breakfast, bacon rolls we've had in the past, tea and coffee and biscuits is provided, or maybe a lunch is ordered in. So that extra bit of care and attention on an inset day. Time is always given for tasks if particularly if you ask for it, but it's very often offered. For example, in terms of this PowerPoint, I was given time to produce it. You're never asked to be given a task that's massively going to chunk into your own time. You'll be given time to do it. From a personal point of view, increased ALNCO time. Going back about 2 years ago now, I had half a day a week. Went to Mrs. Moses because I was struggling and said that I couldn't get everything done in half a day and that it was eaten into my homeschool life balance. And Mrs. Moses, when she was able to, increased it to a day. I've had a day a week for a while now, and anyone who's ALNCO and going through ALNCO reform will certainly recognise that the demands on us is even bigger at the moment. And actually, we are in discussions as from September for that to increase to 2 days. Staff wellbeing is always a standard agenda item on meetings, particularly on our Friday forum. Staff wellbeing is always discussed, or wellbeing in general is always discussed. On a Friday, we call it Feel Good Friday, and it's a dress down for the children and a dress down for the staff. It's surprising how happy it makes us all to wear a pair of jeans on a Friday. Goodness knows why. There must be some science behind that. We all plan on a Friday afternoon for the children. Currently, we're using Jigsaw now. And when we're not using Jigsaw, which is the last Friday of every half a term, we plan through the 5 ways to wellbeing, which the children love and the staff love. This is our staff questionnaire results, which we're really proud of. We carry out a staff questionnaire every year. The results are analysed. I think SLT work really hard. If there's a set of results that they're not happy with, that they feel they could do better at, and they will always go to a response if it needs working on, and it will be weaved into the school development plan and how we can improve. These are some of our positive results, again, that we're really happy with. Everyone in school feels happy. Everyone feels there's someone who cares about them. Everyone feels they're doing well, and everyone knows what to do if they're anxious or stressed. The whole school approach to emotional and mental health wellbeing self-assessment tool is something that we've taken on. We're a pilot school. We started off by completing it as an SLT group because we thought it was important to go through the whole document. We then went through it as a staff meeting, PL session, and we split into groups, and each group took a section because it is quite long. We then took sections that we got our pupil participation groups to complete. Our governors completed a section, our parents completed a section, and just to show you, this is how we combined our results. So we added in some extra columns, and this is our results. So on the original tool, obviously there's just one column, but we added in the extra columns to show the different groups. So where we've got SLT, staff, pupils, governors, and then an overall rating. Obviously this one's blank because the pupils didn't fill out all of the areas. They just filled out the area that was applicable to them. And yeah, we wrote down, where we thought the evidence was, and we really listened to all the different voices. As you can see, the score's different across the board, but we took the average. And then off the back of that combination of results, we completed an evaluation where we looked at what we've done so far, just to kind of collate all the things that we've done so far on one slideshow and what our next step was. That's a link to the tool. We then looked at all the excellent practice responses from the staff questionnaire, and all the good practice that the staff felt from the tool, and the areas of development, and the same with families. So we pulled all that information together, families and then pupils, to move forward then with our SDP. So this is a progress report of our last SDP, where we piloted the whole school approach. So that was our summary of the year, and the other things that we'd done. The relationship policy, RSC code and statutory guidance was introduced, and staff and pupil wellbeing strategies we now feel have been embedded. Here was our impact, and here was our next steps. Moving on from the progress report from 21-22, here is our action plan for September 22 moving forward. We've got curriculum action plans and non-negotiables for areas that aren't AOLE. This is our health and wellbeing action plan. So, for example, to embed the relationship policy and fully implement a restorative approach, to action relationship plans for children who need support with their behavioural choices, to appoint wellbeing warriors, to deliver the RSE curriculum and jigsaw, and then finally, which links to our more so to our whole school audit, was to improve staff mental health by being open and honest amongst ourselves, and introduce supervision to staff who require it, and also improve the staff room using a £2,000 grant that we received. So supervision was the thing that came up right across the board. It was something we didn't have in place, and it's something that is on our action plan, off the back of the whole school audit tool. Education support. So I just want to share with you a screenshot of the website. This is what it will look like when you log onto the website. I think it's such a fantastic resource, and I'll share with you now how we've used it. First of all, on the right-hand side, we've got the poster that you can get from the website, and the phone line, the education support helpline is there. It's open 24/7. And as it says, the counsellors are non-judgmental, and they're just there to help. Free and confidential emotional support for teachers and education staff, which is absolutely fantastic. It's free. The other way that we've used education support is the regular network meetings with Anthony. I found those so useful. Just some really great ideas that have come up. I could talk forever about the network meetings, but just join them if you can, because there's some really fantastic speakers that Anthony brings along, and just some great ideas and a chance to reflect and share. The wellbeing sessions that I mentioned for SLT, I think have probably made the biggest impact, because that's what really, really kick-started staff wellbeing, when Mrs. Moses, as I said, realised that you've got to put your gas mask on first. Professional supervision, as we said, that's something that we weren't doing at Green Meadow. So through education support, they offer professional supervision for heads and deputies. That's now been offered to our head and deputy. Signposting and professional learning. There is absolutely so much on the website. Anything that you need to know about health and wellbeing, about staff wellbeing. There's webinars, there's posters, there's just so much on the website. I don't feel like I've even scratched the surface of it yet, but there's so much there to support. So I definitely recommend for staff wellbeing, you've signposted the website, and as health and wellbeing leads practitioners, it's somewhere you go for advice and for professional learning. So our next steps at Green Meadow, just to show we've always got next steps, we're nowhere near where we want to be, is to finish and transform the staff room into a snug. Obviously, this was grant funded. We were really lucky to receive a grant for this from Torvine. And what was a kind of working staff room with like a meeting table, a whiteboard, a photocopier, pigeonholes, all of that, bar this photocopier has been removed now. We've got a long kind of country kitchen style dining room table with dining chairs and some cushy sofas. And I think once the photocopier was gone, I really feel like it will be transformed. So we furnished it. We're not quite on the transform section yet. Oh, it's been painted by a lovely caretaker as well. So yeah, it's really going to be that wellbeing space, somewhere you can go, relax, really come out of the classroom environment. To move forward with supervision, so we've moved on now from just being offered to heads and deputies by education support. We've sourced free supervision for all staff members. We've currently made contact, and we're just offering it to SLT a minute, just so that SLT can have a session or two and then offer it whole school. So when whole school staff ask, what is it? What is it about, that we can answer from an SLT point of view with experience of what it actually is. Hopefully, if it's great, we can really sell it and encourage our staff to take part in supervision. Another thing that's really important to note is that supervision should not be in your own time. And Mrs. Moses is really keen that she would arrange cover, um, and staff would come out of class to go to those supervision sessions. And so that's in hand. The final thing on my to-do list, which I haven't done yet, is the Anna Freud Staff Wellbeing and Perception of Stress questionnaire. I think this was on my to-do list, Kate, last time I spoke to you about this, so I really need to up it on my list. Have a look at it. Anna Freud, the Staff Wellbeing and Perception of Stress questionnaire. It's really good. I do think you, and it's one of the things on our targets, you really need to be secure as a staff and be open to having honest conversations, because if you look on the question, it is quite detailed and really does dig deep into your own well-being and perception of stress. So something to look at, but be cautious. Some golden nuggets we'd really like you to take away today is, first of all, use the whole school approach tool. It's fantastic. It's really pushed us on our journey, and it really will show you the areas that you need to work on. Just be really mindful that that should be a team approach, not just one person. The second golden nugget is to use education support. It's a fantastic resource. I can't stress that enough. And the third golden nugget we'd really like you to take away is, we find it really difficult to sell a kind of family ethos, or to show you our family ethos across teams. Our staff wellbeing is so important, and I think our staff look after our children and our families, and we just like to share with you some visitor feedback. So we've got a visitor questionnaire. There's QR codes up around the school, and of 51 staff that completed the questionnaire after they'd left, 51 said that the staff were friendly. 51 responses said the children were respectful and polite. Obviously, for one person, it was not applicable. I'm hoping that they came after school, which is why they hadn't met the children. So yeah, really important there that we use that visitor feedback, and we're really proud of that visitor feedback. These are some of the quotes on the visitor feedback forms. On the bottom left, thank you for welcoming me into your school. Such a positive and caring ethos. Can't wait to visit again. Top right, the staff are amazing and friendly and welcoming. I think Mrs. Moses is really keen. We're an L&S school for wellbeing. If you want to get a feel of staff wellbeing, if you want to get a feel of a family ethos, the door is always open. Please come and visit. She would really love for people to come and visit, particularly off the back of this PowerPoint. Like we said, it's really difficult to get that ethos across. One thing that we thought maybe got the ethos across a little bit is a photo of us on World Book Day. We always, if we can, year on year, do a kind of team photo. This year this is last year's, we were all Thing, and the boss was Cat in the Hat. This year we were the day the crayons quit, and we were all a different colour crayon. So yeah, we're a really great team, and we come together where we can to do whole school approach things, which the kids absolutely love. So yeah, if you'd love to come and visit, or if you've got any other questions, please contact our head teacher, claire.moses@torvine.gov.uk, or myself, Health and Wellbeing Lead, leslie.tucker@gmp.schools.edu.org.uk. And just a massive thank you to Kate for allowing us to share. And I really hope this recording's worked. Thanks everyone. Bye.